Okay. Welcome to the December 11th Board of Selectmen meeting. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Select Board is being conducted both in person and remotely, consistent with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, which suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed to participate remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, dial, 1-408-650-3123 and access code 235-235-861. Or the public can join via computer at https://global.gotomeeting.com/join/235-235-861. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. There are no board members meeting remotely. Please let me, well, we don't need to do that. Is anybody else recording this meeting? Seeing none, can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We have no public comment tonight. Our first item of business is the presentation of a proclamation to firefighter James Sweeney on his retirement. Ms. Kavanaugh, if you would kindly read the citation.
Sure. Proclamation. Whereas the Auburn Select Board wishes to recognize and acknowledge town employees for their meritorious service in the community of Auburn, Massachusetts, and whereas James J. Sweeney has worked in the town of Auburn for the Fire Rescue Department beginning on March 10, 1979, with his appointment as an auxiliary firefighter, and whereas James Sweeney was appointed as a call firefighter on July 1, 1982, and as a career firefighter EMT on September 29, 2003, and whereas James Sweeney performed his duties in a responsible and professional manner and has earned the respect of his peers, and whereas James Sweeney retired on November 24, 2023, and now therefore we, the Select Board, on behalf of all town employees and the citizens of Auburn, do hereby wish James J. Sweeney a healthy and prosperous retirement and express our sincere appreciation for his loyal and distinguished service as an Auburn firefighter EMT and making Auburn a safer place to reside, work, and visit. Signed by the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you. Chief?
Yeah, so I'm happy to announce James Sweeney's retirement. He retired on Thanksgiving after many, many years of service to the department. And Jim really shows what it's like to be an Auburn firefighter. For many years, he's been somebody that everybody looks up to. He's someone that, it's a joke, but his nickname, he's the mayor, because he seems to know everybody. You need something done, he'll make a phone call, it gets done right away. He's there for anybody at any time in need, constantly comes. So it's going to be a big loss to the department, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see him still quite a bit around, and we hope he comes by. But he's been a very big part of this department, and we're certainly going to miss him. But I congratulate him on his healthy retirement.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
James, I want to thank you for your years of service. I bet that turkey hasn't tasted that good since you started work. I know that was your last day. We're going to miss you, and you have been a model for the department, and we want to thank you for giving us time away from your family for all those years. It's not easy, and you've really made a mark on the department, so I want to thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to say anything, firefighter? Would you like to say anything?
I would just like to say that, without the residents of this town, our department wouldn't be what it is today. They've made us very proactive instead of reactive, and we've grown leaps and bounds, and we got to thank the residents and the business owners of the town for it, so.
Do board members have anything?
Congratulations.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you on your decades of service and thank you on behalf of the community for all you've done, leadership you've shown to the department, as well as the service that you've given to the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody standing out back, do you want to say anything?
They're making sure I leave.
Okay. All right, well, with that being said, we should rise and give him a round of applause.
Enjoy.
I'm not usually here, so Sarah would have done a much better job. All right. That's a very nice way to start a meeting.
Make a motion that we continue the public hearing for National Grid.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have two, so we need to do them as separate. So this would be the one,
I'm sorry, for the pole location on Albert Street.
okay. So item 3B, you're making a motion to continue?
Yes.
Okay. And it was seconded by Mr. Corain? Okay. Just for the public's awareness, National Grid was not able to, due to the recent weather event, able to provide someone to staff this. So if anybody's on the phone, or I don't see anybody in the audience who would be here for this, these will be continued to January 8th of 2024. That being said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It is a vote.
Make a motion to continue the public hearing for National Grid on Albert Street for the 60 feet center line.
Okay, 3C.
3C.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Crane. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It is a vote.
Make a motion that we move up agenda items 5B, 6D, and 6H.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It is a vote. The gentleman from Dunkin' Donuts, if you'd happily join us at the table. Kindly introduce yourself and provide an address for the record.
My name is Marco Raposo. As an address, I can provide 717 Southbridge Street in Auburn. So I am part of a family that has been running restaurants like Dunkin' Donuts for over 40 years, really, in the Worcester area, in the Worcester County area. And recently we had the opportunity to, through acquaintance with the previous owner, engage in the acquisition of his network. So it is comprised of 8 stores. 3 of them are in Auburn. And we closed the sale on November 7, and we began going through the stores and working with the staff and understanding, how they work, and getting to know a little bit about the community and about our guests that come through the doors every day. So this is where we are right now.
Welcome to Auburn. Is there any questions from board members? Or anything from town administration?
No, sir.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the name changes on the 3 locations as Central Mass Donuts LLC, DBA Dunkin'.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There's a motion and there's a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It is a vote. Thank you very much. Welcome
Thank you
to
so
town.
much. Thank you.
Merry
Very
Christmas.
nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Happy holidays. We're now on 6D, which is Town Manager item hearing dates for pre-town meeting discussion. Mr. Kazanovich?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to hand out a timeline that we have prepared for your review. Leading up to a series of events. So, starting with December 11th, they're going to open and close the warrant as it relates to the land acquisition for the new fire headquarters. We would like to schedule a series of meetings. I had discussions with the deputy and the chief, with Dory and I, identifying some meeting dates. We'd like to have a series of 3 meetings where we're going to meet with the general public, not including a pre-town meeting for our town meeting members who may have some questions or concern relative to the process. So this identifies a timeline that would lead up to a debt exclusion vote in May at our annual election. These dates may shift a day or two, all depending on availability of facilities, availability of town meeting members. But just to give you a sense as to how we want to schedule this thing out over the course of the next couple of months.
Do board members have questions?
Just a quick question. The debt exclusion vote, is that for the sale or is that for the actual building?
No, so the sale would be contingent upon a vote of town meeting scheduled for January 30th.
Okay.
If that gets approved, then there would be some preliminary design work that would define a layout that we could take to town meeting. We can come up with an estimate of cost based upon the square footage of that design and provide a loan authorization. The 2 actions would be required. 1, it would require a vote of town meeting to authorize a borrowing for a sum of money. 2, subject to a successful vote at a debt exclusion at the annual town election.
So we're confident that we'll be able to get a design done in enough time to schedule that vote and have a reasonable cost to present to the voters?
No, I think that would provide an estimate of cost. Certainly, we would have, if the project were to get approved, then we would have some money for design and engineering plans that would lead up to a bid that would really nail down a cost once it goes out to bid. But in most cases, I think the estimate, it provides a dollar amount per square foot based upon the layout, and it's pretty accurate.
So assuming the voters approve what that amount is, if the bid comes in higher than what the voters approved, how would we look to fund it? Would we
So
look
the
at current
Voters would
budget?
approve a project without, there'd be an estimate of cost on the ballot question. Certainly, the dollar amount would be provided by a vote of town meeting in terms of an authorization. So it may be up to a certain amount,
Yep.
and there'd be some flexibility. We could do some add-alts on the bid that would allow us to trim or shave costs to get it to where it needs to be, but those discussions need to take place as we push a little further towards the goal line.
Chief, do you have anything to add?
Yes, it's going to go out to professional estimators prior to any of this, so the number that comes back is going to be pretty close to what it would be based off of that. There will be some sort of design similar to what you have seen in the past before when they were doing the public safety complex. You'll have some rough sketches like that.
But to answer Mr. Corain's question, if the cost did come in higher than what was authorized, we couldn't make an award. We'd have to go back out.
Are there any other questions from board members?
So, a question, so will that's a lot to get done in our annual town meeting on May 7th. This vote and the discussion and our regular town meeting issues. Will that be two full?
So, that's the timeline. We could always push off a vote later on in the summer if we wanted to do that. But we believe that there is enough time to get done what is outlined here. If not, we would suggest something different than a annual town meeting date.
My other question, will you provide debt schedules for the May 7th town meeting? I mean, you know, a list of what it would cost us to borrow the money?
Based upon the estimate, we
Right.
could do a projection on
Right.
debt and interest costs based upon current rate of return, based upon our bond rating, based upon the total cost of the project.
And then its impact on the median and mean taxpayer.
So we could do a cost per $1,000 of value and do a median house average like we typically do.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments? Anything else, Mr. Casanova, Chief?
I don't believe so.
You are not looking for a vote? This was just informational?
Informational.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Have a great night. You too, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. All right, the next item up is the DEP Recycling Dividends Program Grant. Vote to apply and accept. Mrs. Coyle is here for this.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Happy holidays.
You as well.
All right, so good news, we got the grant from DEP. So we had applied, annually we apply for this grant, so it's through Department of Environmental Protection, and it is the RDP Recycling Dividends Program. This is actually the most that we've ever gotten, so it's $15,400, and this is the money that we will use to reduce waste and increase recycling. I think that when I was here recently, we had told you about a swap, Operation Swap, so Solid Waste Action Plan, in an attempt to try to have people take a look and see if they could use a smaller cart. And I'm thrilled to tell you that that is going very well. We have about 40 people that have already signed up for getting a smaller cart. So the money that, this is what the grant money will go towards. So normally that incurs a fee because Casella has to come out and swap the carts out. So the cost of that will be covered by the grant. So if somebody is going from a large trash cart, to a small trash cart, that fee will be covered through the grant. So this is the initiative that we talked about. We're trying it. We're trying to do something different, and it seems to be going very well, so I'm very excited to tell you that. So this grant, again, we did get approved through DEP, and I'm here to request to be able to expend the funds formally.
Any board member questions? Okay. There being none, is there a motion?
Make a motion that we allow the expense of funds from the grant in the amount of $15,400.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
And if I may, we do have somebody joining us for that.
Can we move up tabled item 7A, please? Is there a motion to do so?
Make a motion to move up agenda item 7A.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those opposed, say aye. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. We are now on a request for a board vote on a resolution in support of pending paint stewardship legislation. A gentleman from Dalton came to see us last meeting. Mrs. Coyle's here tonight.
Yes, thank you very much. So I believe Mr. Irwin is joining us remotely, and I actually had the chance to meet Mr. Irwin by chance today. There was a legislative forum on solid waste that had many leaders from the legislative community and kind of some really important people that are paying attention to these type of laws. And this was one of the topics, including paint and mattress, extender producer responsibility. Last meeting, I believe you had this request come before you from Mr. Irwin. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the last meeting, but today was very helpful. I had a chance to speak with him and also hear from the panel about these type of laws. And I did request that Mr. Irwin provide just some details on whether or not this request has gone to other communities. And in fact, it has. You don't have it in your packets because literally it's brand new from today. But Mr. Irwin had sent over kind of a summary of, and Mr. Irwin, correct me if I'm wrong, counted up about 70 or so Massachusetts municipalities that support this, this bill. Not sure.
Irwin, you need to unmute yourself, but please just identify yourself and give your address for the record, please.
My name is Tom Irwin. I live at 54 Central Ave in Dalton, Massachusetts, and hopefully you're able to hear me.
We can, sir. Go ahead.
Indeed, it is roughly 70 towns that are supporting it throughout the Commonwealth, of which there are, as you know, 351 towns. And I am in active discussion with multiple additional towns, and I expect that list to increase significantly.
And one of the other important supporters, so on that sheet that I think Sharon just passed down, the Massachusetts Municipal Association, the Product Stewardship Institute, and you can see Keep Massachusetts Beautiful. There's a whole list of supporters to this type of extended producer responsibility. So I'm going to give you my synopsis of how I understand it, and hopefully Mr. Irwin can jump in if I didn't get it. But basically what happens is that there is for, let's say, a gallon of paint, anywhere from about $1.75 to $1 that gets added on when somebody buys a can of paint. And if this law passed, that fee would go into a fund where a nonprofit agency would be set up, and that agency would be responsible for keeping track of the money, reporting to the state, and also taking care of any transportation and disposal costs for paint. So there would be specific retailers that would be set up as collection retailers where people could just bring their paint. So, you know, right now, we all collect our paint and it sits in the garage or the cellar until we have like a hazardous waste day. We have those every 2 years, but this would allow us to have collection sites for people to dispose of paint. So that is my understanding of how that works, but that fee would cover those costs. So that we found out today. So having a little bit more understanding, and because it was on the agenda, I thought it was fitting just to, you know, provide that information to you. Obviously, you don't have to make a decision about whether or not you support it, but I at least wanted to bring you the information that kind of came about to me today. And then separately, I just want to point out, Auburn is fortunate in the fact that we do have a program. So in addition to the household hazardous waste days that we have every other year, so every 2 years, we also started a program, a pilot program, last year, and we're in our second year for it. So residents, every household in Auburn can get rid of paint and hazardous materials year-round, so you don't have to wait for the special day. You can get rid of them year-round through a program that we have through NEDT, which is located in Sutton. And the money that I just told you about, the $15,400, that money goes towards taking care of those costs. So again, it doesn't cost the municipality anything. It is a bonus that the state gives us that money. So we're trying to do things that will help people get waste out of the stream safely. So Auburn is fortunate that we have our own program, but this is in addition to what they're trying to do at the state level. So I just wanted to clarify.
Ms. Casanova, I skipped over you. My apologies. Do you have anything to add?
So I wanted to have this discussion with Darlene after the gentleman spoke to you at your last meeting, not knowing whether or not we had the ability to dispose of some of the paint at our facility that we have an agreement with in Sutton. It appears that we do. I clearly see the benefit that Mr. Irwin had identified. I think it's a good thing for the environment, but it's consumer-driven, so there is a cost that does get passed on to the consumer. It does offer additional opportunity for residents to get rid of and dispose of their paint. But certainly, I'll leave that decision up to the board.
Are there any board member questions or comments?
Yeah, through the chair. So
Chambers?
if the state were to go to this program, the funds that we currently use for that paint removal, would that be utilized in other ways? Is it beneficial for us to, if the state were to go this way, would we be able to reallocate money and waste from the NEDS?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do that program now because we're trying to make it easier for residents. But if the state had, something in place, we could use that money towards other things. So we do mailers. We'll be doing a mailer probably in the next couple of months. We do education several times a year through mailing. We're doing this initiative to go to the smaller trash cart. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that we would like to try, but obviously you got to plan out what we can do with the amount of money that we get.
And it's my understanding that we're still waiting on the state legislature to make a decision. We would just sign on to this, correct? That's what we're being asked to do.
Mr. Casanova?
In addition to what Mr. Chambers identified, it's my understanding, Darlene, that the disposal site is fee-driven, although our residents get a one-time $75 credit towards disposal of certain items at that facility. So it's really not, the first 75 is covered by the town through the grant, but anything above and beyond that is fee-driven based upon what they're bringing there, correct?
That's correct, Ed. So for the Auburn program, as soon as they pull up, like literally somebody comes out, they'll help people take it out of their vehicle, they'll add it up, and then they apply the $75 credit, and then whatever is left, they're responsible to pay.
Any other board questions? Mr. Quinn?
Not a question, more of a statement. So at the last meeting, I voiced support for this, and after hearing comments from Director Coyle, I'm even more supportive because I think that, this is just one tool in the toolbox to try to reduce the solid waste and recycle. And, looking at the list that you gave us of other communities and organizations, I think we'd be in very good company with respect to supporting this resolution, asking our state delegation to support this law. It is a user fee-based system, so it's not costing the taxpayers money. It's based on, similar to the program, although we get $75 up front. Anything we use after that, we're paying for. And this is very similar. I compare it to the bottle bill. So we've had the bottle bill, I think, since the 1980s, if I remember correctly, where you pay a deposit, and that encourages you to return it to recycle that material, so it does not wind up in the solid waste stream. So I am fully supportive of us adopting language resolution requesting our delegation to support this, as well as the legislature in general.
Before we go to a vote, Mr. Irwin, do you have anything else for the board?
I think that Darlene has summarized things very nicely. I agree with the last comments. I think it's a very strong program and will lead to other programs such as those for mattresses that will only provide further benefit to all of our residents.
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion?
I move that the board vote to support the resolution on pending paint stewardship legislation.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say
Aye.
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 All those opposed, it is a vote.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
All right, we are going back to regular order. So the next item is Selectmen General Items 5A, 2024 Annual License Renewals. We have a list of current and expected renewals in our packet. Do board members have any questions? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the 2024 annual license renewals. The list of those licenses that have submitted their renewals, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said licenses are subject to all conditions stated upon them. Failure to comply with any and all the conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void, and with the conditions of the DCG to be on the licenses.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. We have two, which should probably be Selectmen General Items 5B, which is to deal with the anticipated renewals. We're not meeting before these expire, so this is something that the board usually does, conditionally approve these renewals that come into the office by December 31st. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that the board approve the additional license renewal applications that come in before December 31st and have no outstanding issues.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. We've already taken Select Board Item 5B. We have proclamations and recognitions. There's a request from the Scoutmaster of Troop 101. They're going to be celebrating their 100th anniversary. Information was provided in your packet. Do board members have questions, comments?
We need a motion?
You do. Yes.
I make a motion that we send a proclamation to Scout Troop 101 for its 100th anniversary in Auburn.
There is a motion. There is a second. Is there discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. We have a gift acceptance in the amount of $100 to the library from Joyce DeLongchamp for graphic novels and books, and books on pottery on behalf of Joyce's son in memory of Marianne DeLongchamp. Is there a motion?
I'll certainly make a motion. Is there any discussion? I'll make a motion that we accept the gift from Ms. DeLongchamp.
Second.
Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. Item 5E, vote on correction to the change in address approved for the storage of flammable fluids, license Ross Real Estate LLC from 2 Commerce Way to 2 Commerce Drive. At the last meeting, the board voted to change the address for the storage of flammable fluids from 190 Washington Street to 2 Commerce Way. We have been advised by the town clerk's office that the correct address should be 2 Commerce Drive. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the correction of the address from 2 Commerce Way to 2 Commerce Drive.
There is a second. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. We're now under town manager items. Mr. Casanova?
Before you tonight is a letter of support that I prepared to MBI, which will allow for the expansion of a fiber network in town to facilitate broadband service for unserved and underserved residents and businesses in our community. This request came in after your last meeting, and they asked for the letter of support by November 8th. Having a discussion with a representative from Verizon and MBI, I indicated the board was not meeting till the 11th, and I would prepare a letter of support subject to the board's approval. So this could be rescinded if the board did not support it. Certainly, I know, and I was concerned about any conflict it may have presented as it relates to our current contract with Charter and Spectrum. This is a service that is not defined under that type of an agreement. That being said, I think this is a good thing for our residents in our community and for our businesses. It does provide for a enhanced level of network and communication. So I need the board to support what was presented. I did have Bill August review this just to make sure that there was nothing in conflict with our current agreement, and he has assured me, and the letter has been tailored in such a way that it does not conflict with that.
Questions, comments?
There is state ARPA monies through the federal government that allows for this expansion. As I understand it, this was going to be bid shortly before this meeting. So our application is in to allow for an expansion. And as soon as we hear, we can, provided the board supports this letter of support, we can convey that to the board.
Board member comments or questions?
I just wanted to say that, I know that there is lots of demand in the community for an alternative to Spectrum. There has been calls for Verizon to come into town for many years. So I am proud to support this letter of recommendation, letter of support, allowing, providing the money to allow the expansion of Verizon into Auburn.
Is there anything else? Mr. Cavanagh?
Yeah, question. So this involves a grant, Mike. This involves federal ARPA money, and that money would go to Verizon, and Verizon would use it in our town. Okay, to put in the high-speed internet that we don't have, or some,
So would not come from our ARPA funds. These funds are passed from the state, and they would make the award to Verizon or whoever is upgrading the service.
any time frame attached to this?
No, I don't know. I think it all depends on the number of applications that are considered and what the level of funding may be.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Mr. Chambers? No? All right. Is there a motion?
So I'll make a motion that the board vote to approve the letter of support for Verizon's non-cable proposed service to underserved and underserved areas.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Chambers seconds. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, it is a vote. All right, we are now on town manager item 6B. Mr. Cavanagh.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I am asking as a result of our consideration to purchase a parcel of property known as 798 Washington Street and 10 Prospect Street. Current owner is BKRJT Inc., Chuck Steakhouse. I'm asking the board to consider a one-time amendment to the town's existing free cash policy that would allow the town to appropriate above the 50% allowable net gain from year to year for a one-time acquisition of this property. Right now, the town has an offer in through a letter of intent, ultimately to be converted into a purchase and sales agreement of $4,050,000 for the acquisition of the property. In addition to that, we would like to consider a sum of money for the demolition of the existing building, if this should get approved, as well as a Phase 1, an environmental assessment of the property as well. We know that a Phase 1 was done on the property roughly in 2013, but for purposes of borrowing money for the construction of the facility, that would be outdated, so we would have to get that updated anyway. And once this one-time withdrawal is done, we would revert back to the existing policy and follow the terms and conditions of that policy.
Are there board member questions, comments, concerns?
I just have one question. Is there a ballpark figure that you have for the quote-unquote sum of money for demolition of the existing building and for the environmental assessment that's above the $4,050,000 for the sale?
We believe, and we're seeking some quotes for the demolition just to get a ballpark estimate. I heard anything from $50,000 to $150,000, all depending on the material within the building once they did an assessment. I think a Phase 1 would be in the vicinity of 10,000-ish, preliminary Phase 1.
Any further board comment, questions, concerns? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I make a motion that the board approve this request for the non-precedent one-time amendment to the town's existing free cash policy.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion, there's a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote.
Thank you. One other comment, Mr. Chairman. We are going to we are seeking a vote of the Finance Committee as well, because when we adopted the policy, it was adopted not only by the board, but by the Finance Committee also. Mr. Chairman, we are looking for a vote to set a special town meeting. We are requesting Tuesday, January 30th is a special town meeting date. The high school is available on that evening. We checked. The clerk is available, and I guess we would have to also consider an alternate date in the event we had an inclement weather on the 30th, but we will seek to do that once the 30th is voted.
Comments, questions, concerns by board members?
Just one question. Have we made sure the moderator is available?
I think we did reach out to the moderator. Yes, that would have to be a certain date. I'm sure that won't be a problem.
Make a, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen set a special town meeting date for September, on Tuesday, January 30th, 2024 at 6 PM.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. We now,
Mr. Chairman, we're looking to have a vote to open up the warrant this evening for a special town meeting.
is there a motion to open the warrant for the special town meeting?
I'll make a motion to open the warrant for the special town meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. We now need a motion to close the public hearing. We have a date, we also need a time. We usually do noon on the date. Is that not correct, Sharon? Noon on the day we close? I know you're open late.
I will. I will make a motion to close the special town meeting warrant on Monday, December 18th, 2023 at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, it is a vote. Mr. Gazanovich, I believe this is one that you did not move.
Mr. Chairman, this is an annual vote that the board takes authorizing the town manager to apply for and accept a formula grant that is determined by population from MEMA. The amount, and has been this amount for the last several years, it would be $4,600 based upon our population. And we use that amount to request funding to offset our code red cost, which is about a little over double that, about $9,500. The remaining balance comes from our cable funds that would allow for an annual coverage beginning roughly end of December.
Board questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Go ahead, Steve.
Make a motion that we apply and accept the grant funds for $4,600 to fund a portion of the Code Red.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. We are done with town manager items. We move on to member items. Mr. Crane submitted 4 requests. Mr. Crane?
So beginning with item 8A, as I looked at the proclamations that the board is issuing to honor various former elected officials or others, it came to my attention and belief that I'd like to ask the board to consider issuing a proclamation to honor former town moderator Chester Stencil, most people know him as Chet. Chet had served as elected town moderator from 2016 until he decided not to seek re-election this past year. Professionally, he has served the area for over 50 years as a math teacher, 33 in the Webster Public Schools, and then another 17 at Quinsigamond Community College. He's a town meeting member for over 4 decades, serving the residents of Auburn. Before becoming town moderator, he was the assistant moderator. He's also served on various committees, the Youth Commission. He was on the High School Principal Search Committee many years ago. He was on the Julia Bancroft and Mary D. Stone Advisory Committee. He's also a member of the Elks and the Knights of Columbus and has volunteered for far too many committees and charitable organizations to mention. But he has dedicated his life to the community and to serving the residents of Auburn. And I'd like the board to consider issuing a proclamation to honor and thank him for his years of dedicated service to the town. And I would recommend that we present that proclamation at the next annual Volunteers Party, which is probably going to be held in early spring 2024. I think that's a good time to, as we're honoring volunteers, to call out his special service at that time.
I make that motion, sir.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, it is a vote. Mr. Crane?
Similarly, I would like the board to consider issuing a proclamation to honor and thank former Library Board of Trustees Suzette Dowd. Similarly, she served as an elected member of the Board of Trustees for 10 years, beginning in 2012, until she decided not to seek re-election in 2013. In this role, she took on many leadership positions, including the search committee for the hiring of the library director, developing the Auburn Public Library strategic plan, developing a number of policies that govern the Auburn Public Library, and serving as vice chair for many years. Professionally, she served the residents of Auburn as a teacher within the Auburn Public Schools for over 37 years before retiring. She continues serving today as a member of the Friends of the Auburn Public Library. Again, similar to Chet, I'd like the board to consider issuing a proclamation to honor and thank her for her many years of service, and to present that at the next annual Volunteers Party in early spring 2024 as well.
I make that motion, sir.
Is there a second? Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, it is a vote. Number 3.
This is a similar proclamation that I'd like us to consider issuing for RH White Companies. So RH White Companies, from their initial founding back in 1923 to today, have been rooted in Auburn. They have had their headquarters in Auburn from the day of their founding. They were actually founded by then Auburn Fire Chief Ralph H. White to meet the region's need for a company to install water and sewer piping. Throughout the years, they've adapted to meet the needs of the community and their clients, and have won over 15 community and industry awards for individual projects and business practices. With 3 generations of the White family leading the company, they've continued to uphold their core principles of safety, customer service, integrity, and family values, including the creation of the Leonard H. White Training Center in 2016 to ensure the proper training for their 600-plus staff members. Outside of the business, the company has spent their centennial year, celebrating 100 years this year, honoring their employees and clients with special recognition events, as well as the greater community by raising and donating over $100,000 to the Alzheimer's Association, the Greg Hill Foundation, and Easter Sales. Again, similar to the other 2, I'd like the board to issue a proclamation to honor and thank the company and to present it at either a future board meeting or at an event organized by the Auburn Chamber of Commerce.
Is there discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I make that motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, I'll abstain. Number 4.
So this is, I asked, following an email inquiring, sent to the town inquiring on what the town's policy was for flying flags on town-owned property. I inquired with the town manager whether Auburn had a policy. There has been recent situations where municipalities have been sued by private organizations for either lack of a policy or having policies that were non-compliant with state law. The most famous one, of course, is the City of Boston. Based on that, the Mass Municipal Association had recommended draft policies that municipalities can adopt in order to protect themselves and to clarify what flags can and cannot be drawn. The town manager was gracious enough to put together a draft policy for this board to consider and sent it to me in advance so that I could weigh in as well. So I believe you had before you the combination of the policy with my edits in red, and this is based off of the best practices for the Mass Municipal Association as well as what the City of Boston did under consultation with the Supreme Judicial Court after they lost their lawsuit. But I'll defer to the town manager for any additional details.
So I think this is long overdue. I think the town should have a policy. I think given what requests we have recently seen and what's going on in other communities throughout the Commonwealth of Mass. So I just don't know how the board wanted to approach this. We did put together a draft policy. I don't know if there wants to be a subcommittee of the board that reviews this, because ultimately the policies are approved by the board, and the board does have some input. Or whether or not it wanted to work off this, or refer this to the flag committee and make that part of their consideration as well. I think the town should adopt a policy. I think in addition to this policy, there should be a flag etiquette policy as well. We could use that as a future amendment. But I think we need to, I think we're long overdue, and we should have something in place that can guide us into the future.
Is there anything further?
No, I mean, I just, I'm concerned and I hesitate to either create a committee or to send this to the flag committee, only because we do have a pending a question from a private organization wanting to fly a flag that would necessarily, there's a chance that if we deny them without the lack of a policy, that we could open ourselves to litigation. But also, if we approve it, we also then open ourselves up to more requests from similar organizations or from any other organization So I'd like to see us put in sort of this basic framework that Mass Municipal Association recommends, and then if we want to do more work and build out consideration for other flags, I think that's, a way to go, but I would like us to put in at least this basic framework that came from Mass Municipal Association as soon as possible in order to protect the town and clearly established guidelines.
Does anybody else have anything? I'm not ready.
I make a motion that the, oh, okay, go ahead, sorry.
We don't have a full board. We just got this tonight, so for me, I'm not a fan of voting on policies without a full board here. So it's entirely up to the board what they want to do, but I think, again, I looked at several of them. This looks fine by me as far as a basis, but we do not have a full board. So it's entirely up to the board what they would like to do.
Mr. Chair, we don't have a full board, however, we don't have another meeting till January the 8th, and because of the holidays. So I would suggest we adopt this, and it can always be amended.
I would concur with that.
So I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen accept the flag flying policy on town-owned properties as written below.
I'll second that.
There's a motion, there is a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none.
I just want to clarify, as written with, so there's two different fonts. I just want to make sure it's as written as one font with there's some strikeouts or?
Yeah, as written here with the, both the black and the red ink, and excluding, not including the items here that were crossed off.
Thank you.
There's an amended motion, Mr. Crane, you okay with seconding that?
I will absolutely second that.
We have a motion, we have a second on the amended motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? It is a vote. All right, we have, does anybody else have anything else that they wanted to bring up before we move on to the exciting minutes? In your packet, we have minutes from November 13th. Are there any corrections or omissions to be noted? Seeing none. They will be accepted as submitted. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion, there is a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It is a vote. All right.